right, I'm gonna call to order the November 3rd, 2025 Mount Angel City Council meeting. Please join me in the flag salute. To the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks for getting us started, I guess.
Somebody is.
It's like, screw it. It happens.
Okay,
Right. Roll call.
all right, Counselor Eater. Here. Counselor Astorga. Here. Counselor Donahue. Here. Counselor Ah.
Here.
Counselor Hooper. Here. Counselor Bullock.
Here.
Student Counselor Eon.
Here.
Right, yeah, close.
You
Mayor Bell.
Here. We're gonna give ourselves till January. Anybody getting it wrong after January? Do we have any presentations, guests, or announcements? Colby?
I do not.
Excellent. Do we have any interested citizens?
Also do not.
Yes, somebody in the waiting room, though.
They are muted.
They are muted. You could ask them if they'd like to speak, but.
The person who just joined us on Zoom, are you here to make an appearance as an interested citizen? Okay.
Okay.
First order of business is our accounts payable report. Counselor Astorga, any questions?
None.
Counselor Black, Counselor Hooper. Counselor Donahue. Nope. Counselor Ott.
On page 7. There's water bottles that are $1,180.
It's something that the police department gives out to those who participate with us. We're not gonna-
I was just thinking that it would say October, but next to it, but if the police, thank you for October.
It's the bane of my existence.
I probably actually.
The water bottles?
And the year,
The water
the water bottles.
bottles. Love the festival.
Council President Eater.
I do not.
I had. Two questions if I can find them. One is for Alan. What is a refrigerated sampler?
That's for the wastewater treatment plant. So it's for the influent, so when we do our labs, we have to take samples. And so they need to be refrigerated. They're not grab samples, they're samples that are taken over time. And we set that up, so it takes it automatically.
Oh,
And the one that we had, so we have done.
picture of a seafood tower.
Is that a disco sampler?
Yeah.
That's the one that broke. We bought a hot.
Yeah, okay. And then, the IGA for Salem OFS policing, is that just a placeholder for now, or it just seemed odd that it showed up to the exact dollar?
Well, the IGAs that I completed with each of the police agencies limited their participation at $10,000.
Okay,
They provided a significant number of personnel this year, and if there wasn't a limit, then we would have likely paid and then forwarded to Oktoberfest a much more significant bill.
understood, okay, it just, the fact it was a dead flat number, just. caught
Yeah,
my-
that's what we got agreed to. I'm presuming that next year we'll have to agree to something probably a little bit different.
Can I ask you, I mean, that note offhand, how much are we paying for Oktoberfest activities and what they reimburse us again?
They reimburse us 100% for our costs, our actual costs. And then Tara's been working on the invoice to send Oktoberfest. We're probably just about, I think we discussed, and we're just about $5,000 under our budget.
Excellent. Moving on to the quarterly finance report. I'm just gonna open it up. Any questions on the quarterly finance report? Okay, I only have one, Tara. So this is the first 3 months of the year, right?
Mhm.
And so anywhere where I see funds that are over 100% already, is that because we carried forward more than we thought we would slightly? How is it that like the SDC, I'll just pick one, like stormwater SDC funds are already at 112% of the revenue,
Oh, okay, so it depends on the fund.
okay,
So, I entered in our audited beginning fund balance, which was higher than we budgeted,
okay.
so.
So we actually had savings, some savings last year that we rolled.
Or I just budgeted low because I wasn't quite sure what was gonna happen at the, we adopted in. Well, we'd start planning in April, right? So we don't know what those last 3 months are gonna come, so I try to get close, but not be too high.
Perfect. Okay, just wanted to make sure I understood why we'd be over 100% in the first 3 months on revenue.
Yeah.
Moving on to the consent agenda. City council meeting minutes from October 6th. Any comments or corrections, Councilor Storga,
No,
Councilor Left? Over. Councilors Odd, Bellingham? Nope. Peter? Okay. I had one small correction to a statement that I made that was on the bottom of packet, page 19 that I provided to Colby earlier. So that'll be corrected. With that. The correction just was, Mayor Powell gave an example of what an administrative assistant works for Amazon would make. And I was referencing that our administrative assistant being on par with what Amazon was paying. I was just clarifying that those are two separate entities in that sentence. Alright, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Hofer, seconded by Councilor Ott. We have a roll call, please.
Councilor Bullock. Aye. Councilor Eager. Aye. Councilor Hooper. Aye. Councilor Astorga. Aye. Councilor Donahue. Aye. Councilor Ott. Mayor Powell.
Aye. Department reports. Questions or comments on the council of the department reports?
West. The police report.
Okay,
I'll just say what would be more meaningful to me. On just the number of calls coming in, percent change. I guess my curiosity says, I would like to see comparison of month to month from a previous year, probably previous 2 years. To give me a better idea of the numbers. I mean, we're showing numbers for a reason. And the month to month change, bigger than the next one, the next, but it's curious, I'd be curious to see how it's compared to at least one previous year, hopefully two. And then a percent change would be from 1 January to the next January. This January versus last January. That's just thought.
I can see that. Other questions, comments? Councilor Donahue, Eater. Over. So I have one question and then I'm gonna follow up with a comment myself. My first question is. How is nobody curious about the 20-year deal on the tickets? I wanna hear more about this. We have about uncollected tickets that the judgment. In the criminal action in municipal court, after 20 years after entry of the judgment, we were finally, and we're cleaning these up and. Taking care of this. I wanna hear more about that.
So 20 years after the judgment, the court allows the defendant to go get their license reinstated. So they're basically saying you can either pay money or do time. And so if these people don't pay, they've done their 20 years, they can go get their license reinstated. So there's no reason or incentive for them to come back and pay us,
If they're willing to,
wait for 20 years.
so there's. So there's 1,286 infractions. I just wanna make sure I understand this, cause I find this fascinating, so everybody's gonna go down this rabbit hole with me for about 2 minutes. So there's 1,287 infractions, not necessarily individuals, but infractions. Where a person has taken the opportunity to wait out a reinstatement of their license for 20 years rather than pay the
Or
court
they move to a
fee.
different state, so they don't have to wait.
But if they ever came back to Oregon. Okay. And the $323,000 is not carried in our budget anywhere, we've long since written this off in a single spill.
It's nowhere in our budget, it's just like a liability, like. We say you owe this, but there's nowhere to. Like, we don't expect it to come in, so you can't budget it,
Okay,
we're cash basis, so we don't put it anywhere.
okay. That helps make a little more sense of what I was looking at, so I was like, wait. There's people who just chose not to pay and after 20 years, but now that I understand it's tied to the. Tied to the reinstatement of the license, now it all clicks.
So,
Or, sorry, it may not be tied to the reinstatement, but it went on their driver's record, right? Not all of it is about being driving uninsured or driving without a license, but like if I got a ticket for. Well, actually, it does become, doesn't it become? Yeah, so if I get a ticket, I get $100 for speeding, I don't pay it, the court. And it's changed now. When I started, if you didn't pay your fine, the court could suspend your license for failure to pay. The court took that, the justice system took that away 5 years ago-ish. And now you can only suspend if they fail to appear. So if I show up, but I was like, I'm not paying you, then nothing can happen.
thousands of people. Still appear for violations and we issue citations. Not just we, but globally.
Okay.
And they're not, they don't care anything about the 20-year turnaround. They're just never gonna do that.
Danny, to tag on to that. This looks like it's the first time they actually addressed it in a long time. Is this something that's happening every year, or it's not gonna do it again? For another X amount of years and then take them all at once, if you have any idea on that.
No, I oversee the court department, so I've been working with our court clerk. I was the court clerk 10 years ago. And it was never something that was asked of me in that position, but it is something that the court clerk and I have made a goal for her to go in and clean all this up, because there's no reason to just let it sit there and take up space in our hard drives. So it's something that I'm hoping that once we tackle the bulk of this, that she can stay on top of.
So it'll be like an annual.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've noticed looking at this is a lot of information in these quarterly reports, and I think it takes a lot of time to put them together. And I honestly think that this might be even more than we really need. Honestly. And what I would love to see going forward is. If I'm getting administrative, so I'm just gonna say an opinion. An opinion is if we came up with a great 2-page document that hit maybe 6 major categories and gave us bullet points, since we have the opportunity to ask the questions, if there's something that interests us, I think would hopefully cause less work for staff. And it would increase the amount of it that gets read by council. So let's talk about that and moving forward before the next quarter. That's something we can look into.
Yeah, give it a shot, see how it looks.
Go Doge style. Give me 5 bullet points.
Tell me the 5 things you did.
Tell me the 5 things you did this week.
No. But honestly, yeah, I mean, I think we can condense this down to probably, like a 2-pager. And give council more than enough of what they need, and if we need more, we can ask. And if we're reading our weekly updates, we get a lot of it as well. So,
I mean, a lot of stuff you guys are doing for your own sake, right? Or this is for our sake. We're really, is your numbers, you're not concerned about your numbers from, as an organization? We're quarter to quarter, month to month, year to year.
We're filing the data for you.
That's an interesting thing.
Well, like.
so you're tracking it, but the compilation of it.
Water
is-
fund is, that's an actual state and federal requirement,
Okay,
so
that's
like
right.
Allen, it's like, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in here that we do that we're putting in a form, to give to you. So, we can try to condense a lot of stuff down.
Well, obviously, I was interested in police, calls.
Yeah, and then I'm kind of I'll just let you know now, we can certainly meet and talk about it more, but I'm kind of stuck when it comes to data that comes from the dispatch center. So I can either get every call listed out, or I can get the data that you've got.
Yeah, so you got holes, right?
What's that?
You got holes in reporting. That things that are reported to you, you're saying
Well,
may or may not be accurate.
I think the data that we're getting from dispatch is accurate. It's just that I'm getting it one way. The other way is you either have it the way that it's presented here, or I get everything.
I thought we used to have a column for the previous year.
I usually do that at the end of the year.
Oh, okay, cause I remember getting confused on that, cause I was like. I remember going, chief, this isn't 55% from the year before, and that's when you educated me, it's the month prior,
Yeah, some month prior.
so.
I'd have to do a lot of math if we went year to year.
Okay, but even if we got rid of the percentage change and just replaced it with the prior year's month, we can do the math from there, right?
Everything.
Okay, so we can start doing that, and if anybody is curious what a percentage is,
Yeah, I've got.
we can divide it,
I've got a full Excel spreadsheet book,
perfect,
Annual report's fine with me.
okay.
ready to go. Workbook ready.
Alright, it would be nice, yeah, to reduce load on staff and increase the retention percentage with council. I'll put it that way. Anything else before we move on? Alright. What do we have next? Unfinished business, police collective bargaining agreement. We'll start with Tara on this one.
Where do you want me to start with I mean, there's nothing new to the contract. You wanted me to come back with some information, which was included, it looks like at the end of the CBA.
So it's packet page.
65,
Yeah, let's just go straight to 65. That's the meat and potatoes of it. This is what we were asked to come back with.
so the top column is the hourly rate for what the contract was the tentatively agreed upon. The mayor requested to see what it would look like for us to go back to the the bargaining unit with a 13.1% to match Silverton, so that's the blue box. And then the difference is the bottom section, like how many dollars and cents per hour that change represents. So that's the first page, it's just comparing hourly rates. The second page is then taking that with all of our employees and their benefits and the way we would budget it, I basically inputted that and came up with the top row is what we currently have in our budget document. The second row is a tentative agreement with a 9% and then 5% in years 2 and 3, what that would look like to budget approximately, right? Because people can change, and so if nothing changed, that's what the budget would look like for 3 years. To match Silverton in only the first year, right? Because we didn't want to match them in years 2 and 3. Because we don't know what they're gonna do. That's the blue column, and then obviously I subtracted only the tentative agreement with the Silverton supposal or proposal. And that's the annual change in the budget, 30,000-ish. That's page 2, and then page 3. There was a mention about like how much salary savings we've had over the last couple of years. So I compared what we budgeted to our actuals. The difference is what we didn't expend on personnel costs, and the two that were circled was the last fiscal year and the year before. Those were due to vacancies and the fact that we budget a full chief position every year, even though he takes up 2, or he's only paying for half or using half of the budget. So. Does anybody have questions on those specific pages?
Just want to say like you made it very user friendly.
Okay, good.
When I was reading it, I was like, we'll probably get this to my 8-year-old and she can probably read it.
We do fill positions, so much of that was saying. The 2 full-time themselves.
Not entirely. Cause they're budgeted at the highest step with all the vixens.
Right. The likelihood of somebody coming in and we hire them at step 6 and they have a full family and they're tier 1 and they're, all those is highly unlikely, but just in case.
I'm saying for next year, I'm saying at some point. It's 2 years from now, 3 years from now. What looks like we're saving, that all disappears, not all of it, but a lot of it will disappear. Full step.
But it's still budgeted, so. Expended more or less. That makes sense.
I understand.
So,
I have a question though, that I want to revisit the contract with clarification. But
sure, go back to this afterwards.
so on education pay. Article 16, section 12. It looks like this is all new. Just judging from the color of the,
It's not all new. We restated it, so we already currently have education pay. It was only for a bachelor's degree. And now we're adding, it was a flat rate for bachelor's degree, and now it's moving to a percentage, and we're allowing it for an associate's, a bachelor's, or a master's.
what was it said before?
It should be right in there.
Let's see.
What packet page is that?
55.
I think it was $25 a month.
And just looking at your spreadsheet that we had emailed here recently. are they separate? If I had both associates and bachelor's degree, do I just get the bachelor?
No, highlighted in yellow, it says education pay is non-accumulating and qualifying members will be therefore paid only for the qualifying degree currently held. So that's intended to say that you only get paid for the highest degree you currently.
Yeah, not stacking.
This from your spreadsheet looked like it used to be stacking.
No,
That's the DPSST.
and that was not stacking
That's.
either.
We have 100 involved in 200, that's fine. It's good. Thank you.
There was two levels. So I was showing what one level costs and the other. So,
Oh, okay, then I was just looking at it that it was 100 for the intermediate certification, and then 100 for the advanced.
oh, right, so then that one was stacked, yeah, yep.
So obviously, if we're reading this correctly, we anticipate nearly $300,000 savings this fiscal. Which is about 10x what the additional proposal would cost. In order to put us on par with our, dare I say, partners in Silverton. From the things I've seen, I know that Silverton runs code over here, assists us. We run over there and assist them, and it appears that we work very often. Almost one and the same, but responding to calls, backup, those kinds of things, right? They're usually our first call and we're usually their first call. Is that a fair statement? Okay. So I got gelled up to Tara and Mr. Daniel and all their numbers, so I came up with a number on my own. I was gonna leave you with, because this was the other thing that was really bothering me that we talked about last month. So I took 40 weeks. At step one. And this is assuming that you bring in a new person at step one and they need to go get trained up. In those 40 weeks, they spend about 16 weeks with a training officer. Presumably, it has reached step 6 or higher. Step 6 with all the fixings.
Yes. Now, yes.
Okay. So if you take half of that training officer's time for training for 16 weeks. And all of that recruit's time, I don't know if I'm using the right terminology. But take that off that new officer's time. Training officer or trainee, I'll say trainer, half their time at 16 weeks and the trainer for 40 weeks. At the current tentative agreement. That means if we bring somebody on, we train them and then they are to go leave us to another agency. We swallow $61,800 every time we lose somebody.
Not to mention the police, at least, if they go to the police.
That's strictly
Wages.
wages. That's not equipment, that's not anything else. That's just strictly wages, so. Anyways, I thought that was a little interesting when we talk about trying to do what we can to retain employees. Basically, we're looking at about $62,000 minimum every time we lose an employee through the PD. I know a couple of us were here last night. Any other questions?
I have a comment, I just gotta get this out because I did the work. So there's more ways than one to compensate. The personnel besides the weekly, what the hourly wage, and part of it is the incentive pay. And a lot of these things were changed from a flat fee to a percent of hourly base rate. So I did the math. And I don't know how many people have these incentive certificates or the education or whatever, but let's say just one, that has the certification, the DPSST certification. Both the bilingual, she's bilingual. I'm addressing longevity pay, the education pay. And so instead of the 9%. Most of these, and it's just a one-time shot, I get it, and I see your spreadsheet, I see what you're doing. You're trying to, make this, instead of pay match the other ones that we're kind of doing in one shot. But the 9%, even on the lowest, if you had the lowest certification level, it's not 9%, for step one person, it's 14 that they're gonna get in the first year. They're gonna have all the certification. They have the higher certifications at 17, so anywhere from 14 to 17%. We are giving them an increase in their pay if they have the certifications. I think that's just FYI. And can't speak for the rest of it, that might be in the contract, like the overtime issues and stuff like that. I don't think a lot of the overtime issues are changed. But I just, FYI, that's what we'll be approving if you approve the 9%. If you do 13, you can add another 4% to those numbers I just said.
Okay, I would wanna double check that math because I don't see how the incentive pay would increase 8% of their salary. It may have gone up 8% in that column. So,
You want to take a look at it like that? I don't think I even did the double stacking, because I didn't know that information.
and did you take all of the previous additional stipends into account for the previous contract amount?
Yeah, that is the $100, I don't know, that's the $100, step one, I have 24.25 here up above, the hourly rate for that one for step one, their base salary, what it is on the annual salary, and then the stipends, $100, bilingual was 125, education, 25, thank you for saying that. And then what the other stipend, the new stipend would be under whether they had a lower level for all three of those or the upper level. So yeah. If they do this for me, if I had to hand it out, they do that, but so yeah, on some of the things, the stipend increase is more than the weekly wage increase.
Before Chris.
Let me get back to, before Jack cut me off, Counselor Black, let me get back to Counselor Story and Counselor Rob. Do you guys have any other questions about this, just catching up from last month?
Well, I don't have a question, but I have a comment because I'm in Alan can attest this, I have certifications as well that were, as I progress in my career, I am rewarded with that. So I can work in any plant in this state and I can run it and they pay me handsomely for it. I can go run the biggest plant in this state and they won't bat an eye because I have the certifications and the knowledge. And I would love to have an officer with the same qualifications and education at the top of their game, working here in Mount Angel, than I would have them working in Salem or Portland or Woodburn. I want them here. Because that only gives me the incentive or the advantage of saying, we have a police force that's ready to work, they're very smart, and they can make a difference. And to me, I think that's worth paying them that incentive pay. That, okay, I want the best, we're gonna pay the best rates that we can afford to have you here and to keep you here. And so I think, in my opinion, it's gonna be worth it, so.
I didn't bring it up to knock the certifications, I just want us to know what we're doing tonight.
You have a say in it?
I do, and I was just gonna say, like, before we look at the members of, everybody came with every certification, including Tony, like. We give them an incentive, if they're wanting to go and educate themselves, and go to whatever training that they can. Chief is gonna be able to determine if they're shopping for classes to get out of work. Or if they're bringing this back and going, hey, I learned this, I'm gonna tell all my coworkers. That I think is more valuable than this one person. So I mean, I don't think I'm totally wrong, like, you're gonna be able to see if somebody is just trying to pad their resume so they can get the most pay, or if they're actually trying to build their, build themselves into a career. So I don't really see a problem with having some carrots out there. Yeah. I say before we get back in.
Understood. Any other statements before I go on my little rant? Okay. Thank you for this. Looking at that, even if we were looking at about a 17% increase. Which most of that is already calculated in the budgeted amount in the CBA, because that was not the part we were talking about. But even taking that into account, if you were at 17 and I was at 13, that's 4%. We already know that 4% more than the 9% equals about 30,000 a year. So even if we went up from 9% and it equals 17%, which most of that's already in the CBA, so it's not even up for discussion. We'd still be looking at $60,000. We have a police force that has been underpaid based on the comparables, based on our neighboring communities. I can think of 3 officers in my time here, which is very short, that now work for neighboring communities. I'm staring at enough money to cover this difference for almost the next 10 years. In just this year's savings. So.
I guess you missed my point about, are we agreeing to not fill our positions to, I think it was 7. that we wanted. Those things go away when you add 2 more people full time, those savings go away. And I also would say, just because the budget, we talked about budgeting. Just because it says it's in the budget, doesn't mean we can't be cost sensitive. Here. We budget, she talked about, Chair, I've done budgeting. Talk about being conservative, so you kind of put more money in the budget than you need, than maybe you would expect, just to handle the contingencies that happen. So I am not moved by the fact that for this particular budget, there's room. Because that room goes away if we do some more stuff, like fill all positions.
I hope we do. I hope we fill all the positions. I hope this makes a difference. I hope we're fully staffed. I hope we stop having our police force stretched thin. I hope that I'm not looking at a $300,000 savings next year.
Well, that's a good easy, use the budget. There.
No, that's not how we do it. So with that, to me, I'm over the $30,000 on almost $1.4 million. So I'm gonna close this session. Somebody can make a motion. There's 2 potential motions, 3. There is as presented. There is with the correction to align with Silverton, and there is to table it until next month.
Then I will move to adopt resolution 1612 with 9% wage adjustment first year, and authorize the city manager to execute the collective bargaining agreement between the city of Mount Angel and the Mount Angel Police Association.
Motion is made for the 9% that was presented by Councilor Eater, seconded by Councilor Ott.
Councilor Ott. Councilor Bolette.
Okay,
Councilor Eater.
Aye.
Councilor Hooper. Nay. Councilor Astorga.
Nay.
Councilor Donahue.
Aye.
Mayor Val.
Nay.
That is 4-3, the motion does not pass.
can I move and change my vote? No. Yeah.
Can the mayor make a motion?
I move to authorize the city manager to re-enter negotiations between the city of Mount Angel and Mount Angel Police Association to represent the city council's offer as discussed and adopt resolution 1612 with 13.1% in the first year as the only change to the tentative agreement.
Second.
A motion by Counselor Storga, seconded by Counselor Hofer, reflecting the 13.1% initial increase as the only change to contract negotiations. Roll call, please.
Counselor Donahue?
Nay.
Counselor Hott?
Nay.
Counselor Paulette? Nay. Counselor Eater?
Nay.
Counselor Hooker? Counselor Storga?
Aye.
Mayor Powell?
Aye.
4 nays to 3 ayes, the motion does not pass.
Okay, then we'll move it to the end of the agenda. Tara, why don't you take us on the next one?
Okay. So this is the public works contract. Let me scroll to where I can get there. Hold on. We have reached a tentative agreement with Mount Angel Public Works employees. So the tentative agreement economic changes is that we went ahead and offered Launa the 9% that the police were getting. They are mostly paid out of the enterprise funds, so cost recovery for them is less burdensome on the general fund. And we felt like this would be equitable to our employees as a whole picture rather than hitting department against department. Certification pays have been changed from a flat fee for 13 different certifications to a percentage in 3 different groups. The employer paid leaves will now count as time worked for helping ease the payroll process. On-call hours can be converted to compensatory time rather than directly paid as overtime. And there was a slight adjustment to their holiday schedule to align with the rest of the organization.
Any questions on the Launa contract as presented?
This is wrong. I mean, really struggling with this. I want to pass these things. I want to support Sam. I want to support the chief on this. I want to support it. But I'm hearing reasons that we need to do this for the police. We need to retain, blah, blah, blah. But then we do the same thing. They get the same, this contract for the public works people. And I imagine it'll go to the non-represented people. That's becoming clear. So what's that reason for? We need to do this for the police because we need to retain our people, so we're gonna go over normal bounds to do that. But then that trickles down to the other 11 or 12 employees that we have. So I can't reconcile that. I just can't reconcile that. And that's why I think I'm gonna be particularly particular about what we do with the police, because I can see this is how it goes down. I've heard the justification, so there's no problems between the different sections of our city workforce.
Can you clarify, because this is not above and beyond? This is not council going above and beyond, this is not staff going above and beyond. This is a collectively bargained agreement. That is presented before us, correct?
Yeah, so we spent a number of sessions negotiating back and forth. And you don't have the full picture of everything that we did sitting in front. You don't have the significantly more that was requested from the city on behalf of the employees. And they requested a number of things. Just going from root memory that was gonna be hard for the city to really be good with. So we negotiated in good faith to attempt to find a reasonable area so that we weren't changing other parts of the contract so that we could get their certifications grouped up in an appropriate manner, so that they could be compensated, as we kind of talked about before, in an appropriate way. Without, and there was a lot of things that we were looking at here, to include the fact that this is a group that can strike. And trying to figure out what the best, most equitable thing for us to do, especially as Tara mentioned, they're funded from enterprise funds for the majority of the public works. So their salaries come from the water department, their salaries come from sewer, from storm, from streets, as opposed to wholly from the general fund. So when looking at this, and of course, I was told that they had mentioned during negotiations that, they're certainly looking at other avenues of employment, other places to go that pay more, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it came down to, during mediation, what was going to work best for the city. And I was asked if I was considering doing the same thing that we've done before and with previous contracts. Not just because that's what happened with the police department, but to try and be equitable with all of our employees. Because that is a council goal, to retain our employees. And I said yes, because it took a number of other things off the table. And made it a little easier for our finance department, made it a lot easier for our public works director to be able to administer the contract on a day-to-day basis. That's why I agreed and actually offered the 9, 5, and 5 versus a sliding percentage based on the CPI, which could have been 2 to 4, could have been 2 to 6, could have been 2 to 9, could have been almost anything. But I thought rather than having a variable with the possibility that it could be much, much higher, that a locked amount would work. And I made sure that this wasn't putting us in a situation where we were in danger of a lack of revenue in the city, that this put us in a situation where we couldn't complete projects that we had already planned out to do. And I thought this was in the best interest of the city. And our attorney agreed.
30 years. The management side, on your side, dealing with labor contract. Everyone's different. But yes, they all come in with big requests. Expect it. I don't think they expect to get that. And I'm particularly We got. I'm answerable to the citizens of Mont Angel. And I cannot reconcile how I could go to them saying. The police are getting this percent increase. And here's the defense. These are the defenses for it. The other union, and I'm gonna assume that the non-representatives are gonna get the same increases. How has it been met? What I don't wanna say is they're looking around. That's what I don't wanna say. I guess if they're looking around, they're looking around,
Okay,
and we can't stop that.
other counselors, please.
So. I'm just sitting here trying to do a little math, like, I'm not pointing the finger at Alan because we don't support it, but like, we need a new backdrop. So simple math, like, you advertise it, it's gonna last maybe 20 years, maybe, we're gonna have to put a bunch of money into it at the end of that thing. That's 40 grand a year, we didn't bat an eye. $800,000, $900,000, boom, yeah, we should get it, because we need it. And here we are going, man, this is gonna cost us 30 grand next year. Maybe we can get one more officer to stay, and what are we? Did anybody approach anybody on the street and say, oh my God, how much did you spend on that truck? No, nobody said anything. So you're worried that you're gonna have to defend, and we're gonna try to pay our officers in the first year what Silverton's already paying. Because we don't wanna lose it, because it cost us 65 grand when they walk out the door. When we pay them to get trained, and then Malala goes, hey, we got a guy leave for Portland or whatever. I mean, this is silly.
How much where does it end?
Well, I don't know.
Where does it end? We don't know, that's the thing, we don't even have a plan.
We know exactly where it ends for the next 3 years. That's a false statement. We know exactly where it ends for the next 3 years. We'll have 3 more budget committee meetings before we come across this again. And it is contractually outlined for the next 3 years. What I think some of us are failing to see is the fact that our pay is apparently so far behind the times. That both of our unions required mediation to even get to this point. In a town of 3,600 people with 17 staff? How many staff do we have?
21 bodies.
21 bodies.
Fully staffed, 20.
Okay, and out of those 21 bodies, how many are a single point of failure?
Define that for me.
If one person walks out the door, how many people don't have a backup in their position? I'll use myself as an example. If I walk out the door at the Department of Forestry, there are 0 other people who can manage their capital construction right now. I am a single point of failure.
Chief, Alan, Sarah. Five sitting.
So we have 5 right here. If we lose one more officer, are we gonna be able to cover the schedule?
Not as we are right now.
What about the wastewater? We only have one operator. And I can tell you right now, it took us almost a year and a half to get one operator at a higher level,
So
year and a half. We went out to advertisement for that position 8 times
Are you talking about where you work or for us?
for where I work.
Okay.
And so good luck trying to get somebody to come here for less pay.
I guess I'm more worried about the other question. And that is. The old saying, you tripped over a nickel. So. We're tripping over $30,000 after spending over $1 million of equipment. We have $1.4 million budget in payroll. We've had. $750,000 in savings over the last 4 years, and we're tripping over $30,000 to take care of our people when we are on a house of cards. If we do lose one officer. We can't cover. I'm more interested in answering to the community member, how come we aren't staffed on police force? How come there's nobody patrolling?
No one's asked me that.
You know what I get asked?
No one asked me that.
No, but the first
So I
time,
get told the same
the
thing.
first time someone goes, I waited 15 minutes for a cop, you better believe my phone rang. That's the
So,
problem,
where's the
how come we're not taking care of our
Where's the
stuff?
end?
I already answered that. It is contractually outlined where the end is. I gave you all of your time, I'm gonna respectfully ask for mine. So the question to me, as Councillor Hofer outlined. Nobody in the community is gonna come up and ask me why I spent $30,000. Most of them don't care.
Can I ask where our community is right now, there in these? Just a little concerned, nobody is even,
Nobody's here, nobody's asking where the $30,000 is. How many people come, how many times do we have people at the budget committee meeting? How many times do people ask you about something in the account payable report?
still don't see anybody online.
Yep, nobody's asking us, why did you get away with spending $30,000 of the $300,000 savings? But the first time that we can't operate our wastewater treatment plant. The first time that we are waiting 15 to 20 minutes on a call because Marion County has to come because we don't have coverage during those hours. The first time we don't have a finance director and then all of a sudden we're in an audit, all of these single points of failure. And they call the mayor and they go, how did you let this happen? And I'll go, council wasn't willing to pick up the extra 30 grand. That's the question I don't want to answer. I just filled out my paperwork, it says, you know, hey, what are your goals for this community? Resilient, financially and physically safe for our community members. Working within the allocated amount of taxes we have right now. And that's what we're doing. Any other comments on the live in the contract? Alan, is there anything we should know about this contract that you'd like to share? I understand the motion.
I think we adopt resolution 1614, and authorize the city manager to execute the collective bargaining agreement between the city manager.
No, and.
It's something.
Why you?
And like,
Yeah, it should say land.
Did I mess up?
Yeah, that's it.
Sorry.
It said map.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'll second. We have a motion from Councillor Hofer, seconded by Councillor Storga.
Story.
Aye.
Councillor Donahue,
Aye.
Councillor Ott,
I.
Councillor Collet,
Nay.
Councillor Eater. Aye. Councillor Hofer.
Aye.
Mayor Cobb.
Aye. Ten B. Transfer of appropriations.
Yeah.
It's only for, it's for a different, yeah.
Yeah, it's a totally different, unrelated issue.
Yes, all right, thank you.
Yes, so, we did not, anticipate very well the gym equipment project. And then they chose to come pay with a check for their building permits through us. Therefore, that becomes a pass through to Marion County. So we need to increase our appropriations in the building or the planning department, the line item for building permits to Marion County. So that we don't violate federal law.
So this is a request for limitation, but not revenue.
Correct.
That was my confusing part on this, so thank you. Any other questions? Alright, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the attached resolution transferring appropriation within the general fund.
Second.
We have a motion from Counselor Storgus, seconded by Counselor Hot. Roll call please.
Counselor Hooper. Aye. Counselor Astorga.
Aye.
Counselor Donahue.
Aye.
Counselor Hopps.
Aye.
Counselor Vallette.
Aye.
Counselor Eater.
Aye.
Mayor Powell.
City managers report.
Council, the only thing I bring before you tonight, in my report, and my directors are certainly welcome to chime in, once I'm done with this. We've been in the process to attempt to hire a new library director. Jackie still intends on retiring, just after the end of the year. And so we've been working really hard to try and do that. The first candidate, I offered a position to, and they withdrew for personal reasons. So that took a little bit of time, to kind of get to that point, and then it was quite disappointing that the candidate decided that they wanted to remain where they were. I'm meeting with a second candidate this Friday at 7 a.m. And we're going to talk about the position, and maybe that candidate will walk away with a offer for employment. So I'm optimistic and hoping that we move in that direction. Staff, you have anything? Anything further?
I think that's the shortest city manager report I've ever seen.
Any problems with success?
Our new sweeper got delivered. I like it. Yeah, it's nice.
What year is our old sweeper?
Early 2000s, I think.
I think I was still in high school when we got it.
No, we got it from the city of Dallas.
Yeah.
It was when, Jean Green was interim city manager.
Yeah, you got it from now.
Was that like 05 and then 06?
Oh,
No, he was, during COVID.
Oh,
Yeah, he was here during COVID.
2019.
2020, actually, 2020. Yeah, cause we were shut down in 2020 in March or whatever, or that's when it was the government,
Just
yeah.
The reason I ask is because I don't know the disposition rules around that equipment, but there is an open request from the mayor of Siletz for anything that's still running is effectively the request. They are in considerably more dire straits than we are, obviously.
So we were talking about that because you had considered that before, and so just to be completely transparent with Siletz, we're waiting for Jason to come back to work. He was off for some time. So Jason's gonna work with Alan to put together a list of, yes, it might work right now, but there's gonna be probably 2 lists. Stuff that's gonna need to be fixed very soon and things that you're going to want to work on over time.
I appreciate you guys offering that to him, because the only one that's been offered as far as street sweepers are concerned are from the eighties. So this may be a hand up for our friends in Siletz.
But I don't wanna talk with them until we figure out
Understood.
where it's at. So
Yeah,
it'll probably be sometime in the next week or so.
you don't wanna give them in a worse condition than they currently are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't wanna give them, hey, this is really gonna be kind of cool. Then it shows up and then falls apart.
Implodes.
Youth advisory report.
I have the high school's attendance. For the past 2 months, so it was like the first month of school and the second. And this is under 90%. So for September, it was 22.82%. And then October, it kind of lowered to 20%. So I guess we like to see it like lowering over time. And then we had a few fundraisers over the summer. And then we helped out with like O-Fest, for like street cleanup. Or like table wiping, or we had like the fun run and all that. And then we had even more fundraisers in October. So I guess we're like on a roll with fundraisers. And then just over the summer, the school board was trying to decide what to do with like leftover money that they had, I guess, from the budget for like summer repairs. And we kind of got new bathrooms, new drinking fountains, and repairs in the gyms. And it's nothing. Nothing.
Or so for the bond work. Awesome.
We just had, there was a leftover $1.8 million. That the board was deciding what to do with out of 11.4 million.
So effectively. All of the initial need items that were in the bond. Have been addressed, and so now they're moving on to the contingent, the must-haves. Now they're going on to the wants, and they're trying to find the best way to determine which of the wants get funded with the remaining funds.
Well, that's encouraging.
Nice option to have.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give all the credit to the bond oversight committee. It was the project team. Counselor reports. Counselor Donahue. Counselor Ott.
I went to tour the monastery.
Excellent.
Sister Dorothy Jean Fire called me and set it up and I went. But I didn't do the full tour, so I'm gonna go back again. It was not at all what I was expecting, and I had no idea how far back that property went. But unless you're walking around that whole space, you don't realize how big that property is. That was kind of awesome. All I got.
Very cool. Counselor Storga.
Enjoyed watching your dad doing the speed testing, waved at him a few times. Hopefully he didn't get me speeding. I'll keep him on 6 on 25, so. Other than that, not much else. Go Kennedy, we play Friday night this week against St. Anne Christian here at home. It'll be a mud bowl, so come watch.
Counselor Black. Counselor Over. I don't have anything for the mayor's report. So, other than thank you to our student for her first meeting. We will be getting you an official name tag very soon.
Thank you.
And I must say, you came to probably the spiciest of meetings we've had, and the goal is, this is not how they normally work, but I'm glad you get to see like a little bit of flavor. So before we adjourn, I'm gonna go back to unfinished business on item 9A. We do not have any motions that passed, whether they were to work on the contract or to table this again until next month.
Make a motion. Move that we adopt resolution 1612 with 9% wage adjustment in the first year, and authorize the city manager to execute the collective bargaining agreement between the city of Mount Angel and the Mount Angel Police Association.
Motion by Counselor Black and seconded by Counselor Eater.
Counselor Eater.
Okay.
Counselor Over. Counselor Astorga.
Nay.
Counselor Donahue. Counselor Ott.
Yay.
Counselor Olet.
Aye.
Mayor Fowl.
Nay.
Motion was not carried.
I'll entertain another motion.
I'll move to authorize the city manager to enter negotiations between the city of Mount Angel, Mount Angel Police Association, to present the city council's offer as discussed and adopt resolution 1612, 13.1% in the first year as the only change to the tentative agreement.
Motion by Counselor Storga, seconded by Counselor Hofer. Roll call, please.
Counselor White,
I mean,
sorry. Is that an aye?
no, it's a name.
Counselor Peters,
Nay.
Counselor Hooper. Aye. Counselor Astorga,
Aye.
Counselor Donahue. Nay. Counselor Opp,
Aye.
Mayor Fowl.
Aye.
Carries. How's that?
With that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody.